It's 2025, y'all. New year, new me, right? Well, Valorant took that to a whole other level because to start off V 2025, the 5th year of Valorant, they dropped my guy Tejo. Honestly, the topic of agent abilities is one that at this point we should all be pretty familiar with. New agents consistently come out to a cycle. We get a random image teaser a few months before the release, which really gives us nothing. People start predicting abilities based on some context clues or leaks, and then we get the official teaser with the agent's abilities. Then this is where you insert the typical, this agent is broken, Valorant is cooked, this is why CSGO will always be better, blah blah blah. You get the point. Rinse and repeat. Every new agent appears busted, so when the cycle started up again with this guy, I didn't expect much. Now, having played against him, he's definitely a strong agent. Arguably busted, if you will, but that's not my main point with this video. Riot's philosophy when it comes to these agents has clearly changed, and I'm not entirely sure if they're aware of it or if they even care. Project A is a tactical shooter where gunplay is at the core and will always be important. This has been the fundamental philosophy that has been instilled into the player base since the very beginning, because when Valorant was first being released and teased, this was what the development team had promised us. It was a game that immediately drew comparisons to CSGO, with the one crucial distinction being that this game would have specific agents that you could play as, that would be divided up into separate classes, each with their own unique ability. And the conversation, obviously, when this was revealed was, well, these abilities are going to kill the game, because if your emphasis is on the tactical shooter side of your game, and you are promising that gunplay is going to be at the core and front and center, what happens when an ability gets too strong? This is arguably why Valorant has always had an eye for what agent is playing too good. Whenever an agent is dominating in pick rate, it's usually because their specific kit has become either part of the dominant meta during that time, or is just overall a good ability with minimal drawbacks. But if we really think about it, these abilities come down to two different types of abilities. The first type of abilities are abilities that are indirect. They're abilities that help you and assist you with a gunfight indirectly. They may not damage the enemies, but they set you up to be in a better position than your opponents. Abilities such as smokes, for example, to cut off specific lines of sight can actually help you in a gunfight, because it can turn a situation where you are fighting two people and reduce it to just fighting one-on-one. Or you can ensure that you can entry onto a site by eliminating one area or a specific position that somebody can hold from when they are defending. These indirect abilities are what primarily make up the main base of abilities in Valorant. But of course, the other side of this are direct abilities. They're abilities that specifically do something to your opponent, whether it is damage, a specific status, flashing them, concussing them, reducing their mobility, removing their guns, right? It is something that directly affects them. The balancing act is determining, okay, how are these abilities going to work within the kit? If Raze has a nade that does a specific amount of damage, not only does the ability need to be fine-tuned so that the damage is enough to turn the gunfight in a specific direction to favor the person using Raze, but it also needs to be limited. It needs to be balanced so that you aren't able to just rely on your Raze nade to win gunfights. Rather, the nade itself is meant to help you win a gunfight, not win it on its own. Tejo, I would argue, is an agent that actually has a little bit of both sides, but is overwhelmingly a direct ability agent. But it's also the similarities that this new agent draws with existing agents. Obviously, when this agent was first getting teased, immediately people could tell, oh, this looks a little bit like Breach. After now having played against this agent and seeing the abilities for myself in action, this is a better version of Breach in a lot of different scenarios. Or with Breach, for example, your ultimate is a stun that not only concusses the enemies, but also wildly redistributes them within the area that you use your ultimate in. Tejo's ultimate is an ability that covers a similar range as Breach, with a large distinction that that ability can be deployed wherever and however you like. This is where I think the balancing act has begun to fade. If we take a look at the most recent agents being released, a lot of them have been significantly more impactful. Vice has the ability to remove your guns entirely from the equation. It's an ability that directly affects the player. But the balance is that this ultimate only covers a specific area, and it is a rather large task to get to that ability. Clove, on the other hand, would arguably be an agent that has drastically impacted the way that Valorant is played. Being able to still use your abilities after you have died is a significant impact on the game. The balancing act there is that Clove can only place their smokes within the area that they died in. ISO having the ability to directly put somebody in a one-on-one situation is also a very direct ability. However, none of these, I think, would compare to a more recent change that took place with Neon. Obviously, Neon recently got a nerf, but let's not forget that Neon's buff that initially took Neon from being a mid of the pack agent to a #1 pick in a large majority of games was her simple correction to her slide. The fundamental slide itself was not changed. The aim, the accuracy that Neon players had while sliding though was. And this small different distinctive change created a huge ripple on the game. I don't want to sound the alarm just yet, but a lot of the changes that have been made, and Tejo being the most recent agent to be released, seems to point towards a trend that has been up and coming with Riot of making more agents that have significantly more impactful abilities. I could go further in depth with different agents, but I'm very curious to hear what other people think. Again, I think we're at a crossroads right now when it comes to where Valorant is going. I thought this was a perfect video to start off the year because they've already announced that besides Tejo, there are 2 more agents coming for this year. I will probably do a prediction video for one, if not both of them, but I will already make a claim now that one of these agents will have a very impactful ability that may entirely just create their own meta. And the reason that I'm willing to go out on a limb and make this claim is because a lot of the changes that have been happening to agents recently have pointed in this direction. Is this me reading too much into it? Do you agree with some of the claims that I'm making in this video? Or do you think I'm widely off the mark? And perhaps I'm the one that's misinterpreting some of the changes that have been taking place in Valorant. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Comment down below what you all think. Let me know if you agree with anything that I had to say or if you have your own theory of yourself. I'm excited to see what Riot does with Valorant this year. I am excited to be playing and hopefully be back on that ranked grind soon. I wish you all diamond or whatever rank you're after this year, and I'll see you guys for the rest of the year as we continue playing this game of Valorant. Peace out.